Hey everybody, and welcome into session 3. Oh, we've got good work to do tonight. I'm so excited. I hope you're excited too. I've been looking forward to tonight's journey personally. Um, and so hopefully once I tell you more about my plan for tonight, you'll be excited about it too. Karen Brown sees me. I'm real. I'm doing great. How are you guys doing? It's been a great week so far. Normally this time of year I'm a little scattered, but I feel so focused. Which is kind of a nice change for me. I don't feel so spread thin. Although wait until I start cooking Thanksgiving dinner next week, and then maybe I won't feel quite so organized. Anyway, it's great to see you. So tonight, I'm glad you're excited, and I'm super glad that you're here. Tonight is our journey session of Soul Shift, right? So some people are new, and I always like to do the little, when you go to the mall and there's a map that says you are here. I always like to do the you are here because if you've joined Soul Shift recently, there are kind of a lot of moving parts. And session 3 is one of my favorites because it gives us a chance. Oh, I have to push pause. I have to go get my perfume. I forgot to bring my perfume in. I'll go get it in just a second because we are going to make our perfume tonight. But it gives us a chance to push pause and have an experience together, right? Session 1 is very intellectual. It's not academic, but it's very content rich, right? Session 2 is about bringing the crystals into the alchemy of the work that we're doing. Session 3 is about letting everything land, right? And then session 4 is about integration and crafting and putting the pieces together and making sure we understand how to take the wisdom from the journey, how to take the wisdom from the worksheets, how to take our understanding of how the crystals integrate, and then integrating all of that into our broader wisdom. So I'm excited. I hope you're excited too. I am going to, so I'm going to lay the land for you, and then I'll go and get my perfume. It's right outside the door. I just literally on my way in, I was supposed to grab it. My shirt just walked right by it. It's really funny. Isn't that funny, Millie? But Millie, that's my theory. She's talking about how it's crazy that I picked Blue Tiger's Eye for her, and on the same day she'd gotten a piece. And it's like, but I think the crystals call you, right? Like I think the crystals decide that you need to work with them, and then they put themselves on everybody's radar. So it's on my radar, it's on your radar, it's on the collective's radar, right? Suzanne Black says that session 3 usually ends up in a nap for her, which is actually not a bad thing. Sometimes the spirit guides have to straight knock you out so they can override your talkie. You know what I mean? Anybody new for the first time tonight? I don't think so. But if you are, I want to welcome you. I'm going to burn a little something as we do. Yay! I'm really happy that you're here. They call you. The crystals are really smart. When people ask me how crystals work, I just smile because it's like, in some ways I think they're smarter than we are, right? I think the crystals are little computer chips. So it's like when we ask how they're working, it's like they're looking at us going, how are you working? I'm like, I don't know. Kind of funny. You get knocked out too? Maybe it's not a bad thing. So let's sit with the sage for a minute, and you're welcome to cleanse and clear yourself as well alongside me, or I'll do a little bit for you. Let the smoke come through your fingers, right? Nice. Yeah, Melissa's saying all of our past journeys I kept being overstimulated, less so today. Today I don't think you're going to find it overstimulating. Today we are doing the final work of the phase of alchemy called distillation, right? So this is our final chance to purify and to distill, to make stronger. And my goal for today, and I have my notebook because I'm going to be doing the journey with you, I would really love for you to have a notebook. If you have your notebook from our work on the throat chakra, you could certainly, if you're using that journal, you could write your notes down there. My intention today is I'm going to ask the guides to help us discern some words and phrases to describe our core essence, the most distilled part of who we are in this moment, like a snapshot, okay? Because it's not like your alchemy journey is over, right? Stuff is probably happening to you in your life right now that needs to be alchemized, right? It's not like we clear the slate, oh, everything's alchemized, I'm all good, and then we graduate, we never have to do spiritual work again, right? Like, we always have to do spiritual work. You'll get into an argument with your partner, or somebody will cut you off on the freeway, or, you know, something happens at work, and all of a sudden it's like back to square one, right? So the work continues, but I think that what's really important right now, I feel the same way, by the way. Alexis was saying how much she loves our throat chakra journal, and I love it too, so much. I think it's so beautiful. So hopefully it's one of your favorite little takeaways from Soul Shift this year. But it's ongoing. We're works in progress. If we were done, we wouldn't be here anymore. So we have to acknowledge that the work remains, and it's constant cleansing. What we want to do, though, is cleanse and clear the field, and then distill down and boil down, and then cleanse and clear and distill down, and cleanse and clear and distill down frequently. Because if you do that, then you don't end up having to call the plumber, right? You end up having to call a plumber. I use the analogy of plumbing because it's so relevant. But like when we bought this house was built in 1986, and it had been remodeled 7 or 8 years ago. So the interior is very, very pretty, you know, like the decor. But they never touched the plumbing, they never touched the heating, they never touched the air conditioner. They were very busy people, they traveled a lot, they were almost never here. And so the whole interior of the house was so broken down, but it looked real pretty. And so as soon as we bought the house, we had to completely redo the plumbing, which if you've ever done that before, it's very expensive. I had to have an entirely new roof. It was completely destroyed. New heating, new air conditioning, new like everything, right? And and I didn't really realize that's what was going to be happening. So all of the innards were really fucked up. Not what you want to find out after you buy a house, right? Anyway, I'm sharing that analogy with you because a lot of us focus on how things look, you know, like, and I'm sure, I mean, this is real talk. We live in a world of social media. People make shit look okay all the time, right? Look at her. She looks fine. Look, she's got makeup on both eyes, right? She's smiling. She's holding a margarita. Everything must be great. And meanwhile, on the inside, you're like, I'm a straight up mess. You know what I mean? Like, yes, I have makeup on. Yes, I'm holding a margarita. But it's an absolute shit show inside, right? Like, this is the reality for a lot of people. And we live in a world where we focus on the appearances, like this house. Ooh, it's so pretty. And then like, oh shit, it's absolutely falling apart, right? And so that's what I want to focus on to you. In my life, I don't like for the external and the internal to be divergent. My goal as a human being and as a spiritual person is that I want the inside to match the outside. If you see a picture of me and I look happy, I don't want that to actually be a picture that's not true, right? Where I'm like this, and on the inside I'm like, I'm not happy, right? And you can usually tell with people. But anyway, I'm sharing all this with you because this is alchemy. Alchemy says the inside needs to match the outside. If you look good on the outside, the goal of alchemy is for you to also look good on the inside. And the reality is, at some point, the inside catches up with the outside, right? So that should be the goal. And you have to do what I did with this house, which is very lovingly and unfortunately very expensively go through and replace the roof, the plumbing, like everything on the inside. Let's replace it, let's repair it, let's fix it, let's make it better. And that is the goal of alchemy. So that when you are smiling, it's actually a real smile because you're really happy and not just doing this so that people think you're happy. I love it. Tiffany Clark says energy, right? Not just energy, like external, but energy. It is. It's feng shui for the soul. And the shaman that I do ayahuasca with, which I will again at some point, but I haven't been able to because of COVID, unfortunately. So I'm hoping maybe next year things will shift and I can go back and work on medicine again. But ayahuasca does that. He calls himself Roto-Rooter, right? He comes in and cleans off, cleans out, pushes stuff through the pipes. Like plant medicine does this, right? White sage can do this. You have stones of transmutation. I'm going to teach you a technique today a breathing technique, which I've showed you before, but it's been a long time. So we're gonna go over the breathing technique again today. That way, if you're stuck in your car, I always say this, like, I love that you have tools. I love that you know how to work with crystals. I love that you know how to work with a wand. I love all those things. What happens when you are in your car having an absolute panic attack and you have nothing? You have no stones, no perfumes, no altar. You got nothing. If I don't teach you some tools to work with when you have nothing, then I have failed you as a teacher, right? So I want to give you a tool tonight. And if you work with it, if you continue to practice it, it'll actually just become sort of second nature to you. I was laying in bed doing it last night. I woke up in the middle of the night and it's just all the thoughts that start. And then I did the breathing technique and I was asleep within like 2 minutes. It really will, because it centers you and it activates your pineal gland. So if you remember this whole month, right, we've been focusing on the pineal gland. We talked a lot about how to decalcify the pineal gland, especially in session 1. And I'm going to ask you next week to go back to your worksheets and answer the questions at the end, because the questions at the end are meant to be answered when you're done. About, did you make any changes to your habits this month? Did you try to eat more clean? I'm on a big clean eating kick right now. I'm really trying to eat no processed foods because those calcify the pineal gland. I'm trying to reduce caffeine. I can't say I've eliminated it, but I'm trying to reduce it. So anyway, I don't know if you've been working on any of the things that we talked about. If not, don't worry about it. You guys are busy too. But I like to plant these kind of seeds because even just 1 or 2 incremental changes can have a huge impact in the long term. Now, I'm going to run out for a minute. You need to behave yourself. Don't go anywhere. I'm only going to be on for 2 seconds. It's right outside the door. I only have 2 hands, so now I have to go close the door. I really could use a 3rd hand. Or like maybe if I could, like, one of my feet could be more useful. I'm just going to pop my tools up on my tray. Just the one thing I just forgot to do today. In the mix. Okay. Let me get my charcoals. I don't put water out under an eclipse, but you can. It's just I don't. You know what's really funny is I'm not a rule person, right? Some people love working with the eclipse because the energy is very, very powerful. And if it's channeled directly, it can be intense and it can be a useful ally for you. The problem is it's hard to control, okay? I tend not to work with it very often. But I also don't want to discourage those of you, who feel like you do want to work with it. So if you feel like that, I want you to go with your gut. Okay. Barbara says, thank you everyone for the prayers for my grandson and daughter. I'm not sure what's happening, but please update me and I will also be praying for you. Ooh, Lauren's got sciatic nerve pain for the first time today. Today will help. It will. Because the breathing technique I'm going to teach you is actually a technique that some people use for sciatica. So I would be very, very, very curious to know if it helps you. So I would appreciate some feedback from you. And Danielle said she's working on her food situation. So I want you guys to think for just a moment in this moment that we have together tonight. want you to think about, hey Alexis, will you just make a note to Team SG about the caps on the perfume bottles? I'm so sorry, I know I'm always a broken record. And one of our beloveds sent me a tool to get the caps out. And I always forget before class to do it. Let me grab my scissors. But if they can send me bottles, Alexis, without the caps, I don't need the caps. They're not shipping anything to me, and that way it saves us a few seconds when we're doing perfuming. I would super appreciate it. Okay, rolling back to where we were. So let me ring my bell now that I have my tools for you. Session 3 is in progress. Okay, I'm gonna go to my notes. I always have. Okay. So we were talking about the end of the distillation phase and the pineal work that we've been doing this year. So what we're doing tonight is we are journeying into the pineal gland to activate it. And I want to talk a little bit about what that means, because most people think, oh, my pineal gland's already activated, right? I'm a psychic, I'm an empath, I'm a channel, right? And it probably is. It's not all or nothing when it comes to the third eye. Okay, it can be partially open, partially blocked. When we have any kind of intense experience in life, I don't like to use the word trauma a lot because honestly, people have overused the word trauma, and now it's like they use the word trauma to describe anything negative that happens, and I don't think just anything negative happening to you is a trauma. So I like to save the word trauma for things that are, in my view, traumatic, which is something that actually shifts the center of gravity in your energy field, right? Something that actually creates the space for an energetic block, okay? So somebody cutting you off on the freeway is not a trauma, right? I just wouldn't put it. So if people can say, well, I feel trauma when somebody cuts me off, but I'm not sure that's trauma. It's discomfort for sure. And it's awareness for sure, but I'm not sure it falls into the category of a trauma, right? So, but when we have traumatic events happen to us, and we all do over the course of a human lifetime, our third eye, we can consciously or subconsciously decide to shut this down, okay? And because a lot of times what humans do, and it's interesting that you guys have had that experience with the word trauma too, people, in my opinion, tend to ruin words. You know what I mean? Because they take them out of one context and they put them in a different context and they lose all their meaning. Yeah, trauma has to be big for me, right? To qualify as a trauma. Consciously or subconsciously, when we face a major challenge in life, a lot of times humans will say, or think, or again, very subconsciously sense that maybe they saw these things coming and they weren't paying attention. Maybe they made this happen, things like that. And so what they do is they consciously or subconsciously decide, I'm going to shut down my intuition. I'm going to shut down because trauma can also cause you to lose faith and to lose hope and to lose a sense of connection with your creator, with your spirit guides, right? So they can it can lead people consciously or subconsciously to shut down. Now, what happens later is people say, oh, I want to have all these experiences. I want to find my gifts. I want to do all these things. And then they realize that channel isn't as open as they thought it was. Now, the reality is, I think that having a clear, open channel is very important for spiritual work. And I think it's important to become conscious of even the subtle ways in which we decide, I'm not gonna engage that anymore, right? After my mom died, I kind of felt like, because you reach that, when anyone close to you dies, you reach that place of like, is there really something after this? Like, should I have known that she was gonna cross? Like, why wasn't I, you start doing all those things, which can lead to, like I said, a subconscious, like, shutting down of your gifts, okay? And so that's what I want to bring to your awareness tonight. And so what I mean by activation of the third eye, it's not like some boom pow moment where like all of a sudden the angels are singing and now you're clairvoyant and it's not that. It is a conscious agreement that you will make if you desire to do that in tonight's meditation to engage your psychic gifts more intentionally. Okay? And that requires letting go of fear. That requires letting go of hesitation, doubt, like, well, what if I don't have any psychic gifts, right? Everybody has psychic gifts. So you have to kind of coach your way through some of those initial forms of resistance to opening your third eye. The reality is, humans aren't the only ones with a third eye, right? I mean, we share this. First of all, we're given these gifts and given this tool to open the channel for a reason, right? We're not meant to be here completely disconnected from the spirit world. And this little tiny kernel of an organ in your brain is really the pathway to a deeper connection to source and a deeper experience of meditation and a more powerful experience of consciousness and all the things that I think most people say they want. So it starts with what we're going to do tonight. And so I hope you're excited about that work. And so you can work with tonight's meditation in a lot of different ways, but my intention with it is that you're going to come out of tonight's exercise, tonight's meditation and journey, with some words or images or symbols or phrases from them, from the spirit team, that describe or define your deepest essence. And what I mean by that is your highest self. Okay? The third eye is your channel to not just the spirit world and your spirit guides and your ancestors and, light teachers and ascended masters and all of that. It is that too. But your third eye is also your channel to your higher self, which is, I always think of my higher self as like my older sister. I really do. She's smarter, she's older, she knows more, she's lived longer. And when I go to her, like I was always the older sister in my family, and I remember like my sister would bring me her, like, what do you think of this situation? Or I'm having this going on in a relationship, and I remember going, like, I can't believe you're worried about that. You know what I mean? Like that kind of like older sibling perspective. I don't think our higher selves like exhale and have an attitude about it, but I definitely think the higher self sometimes is like, you're really worried about that? Let's not worry about that, right? So I always think of her as like them, as the best of me plus the best of every other lifetime I've ever lived. So that's how I think of higher self. So tonight I want to connect to the higher self through your pineal gland, and I want you to talk with your higher self, to ask your higher self, what is the core of who I am? What are the aspects of me, if you're interested in doing this? And like I said, you can choose to take this journey any direction you want. You want to ask other questions, great. This is kind of where I'm going with it. What are the aspects of me that have never changed across space and time? How would I recognize myself in other dimensions and other forms of reality, right? Like if we all boom are off this planet now and I didn't look like me, how would you recognize me? Right? What are kind of the core things that you'd be like, that's Athena's spirit, right? I knew her as Athena, but that's her spirit. And the same thing's for you, right? Like how would Sylvie recognize Sylvie if Sylvie didn't look like Sylvie? It sounds like a weird question, but there is a part of you that after this life is complete is going to continue on. And it doesn't look like you. It can look like you. It does right now, but it hasn't always, and it won't one day. Right? So there is a bigger part of you. And don't you want to know? Aren't you curious? Because what I'm going to tell you is this. I think the key to transformation, and I've been teaching Soul Shift now for 3 years, I think. Is this the third year of Soul Shift? I think it is. So I've had some time to think about what really is the key to transformation. And I think at the end of all of this, if I can put a pin in it. And Soul Shift is obviously continuing next year with a new theme and new direction and stuff, but the broad umbrella of Soul Shift is continuing. But I guess what I think I know for sure by now is that the real key to transformation is figuring out not what to change, but what to keep. And I have to tell you, I have moments in my own journey where it's an aha moment for me. And the process of coming to that conclusion and that statement that I just said to you has taken years for me. It might sound very simple to you, But I've always focused in the process of teaching change. I used to teach change management to graduate students. I really did, in business school. I taught some similar things that we talk about here, but it was more of an academic experience. But when it comes to change, I've always focused on what needs to change. Like in transformation, that makes sense, right? But I actually think it's easier if you ask yourself what not to change. And then if you decide that's the kernel, right? That's the nucleus. That's the part that is going to remain. Everything else around that can shift or change or bend, but those things are the non-negotiables. What happens is you will begin to vibrate energetically in a way that people who are attracted to those core competencies or traits or characteristics in you will come into your life, and people who are not vibrating in alignment with those things will naturally separate from you. Does that make sense? What do you want to keep? The next few years are going to be very, if I put my prophet hat on, my oracle hat on, the next few years are going to be challenging. 3 to 5. The next 3 to 5 years are going to be quite challenging on our planet, and a lot is going to change, and it's going to be subtle, and yet we're going to look back and realize it's profound, right? It's happening in these kind of stage-gated ways. And I think knowing that, I'm sort of subconsciously preparing myself and asking myself, what is it in me that needs to stay? What needs to anchor in me and not change through those processes? Because I know so much will change. And even me personally, right? My kids in 5 years will both be leaving for college. Okay, so, one will be gone and the other one will be leaving. So that's a huge change just in my personal life that has nothing to do with the outside world. I'm going to be an empty nester in 5 years, which is very exciting. But anyway, if tonight is successful, my goal is that you walk away going, these are the 3 or 4 things about me that I want to commit to, anchor into, acknowledge, prioritize, that's my goal. And then what that allows you to do is say the rest of it is malleable, right? The rest of it, circumstances can change, relationships can change, location can change, all those things can change, but these kind of core things need to be there. Yeah. Well, don't worry about the future. Seriously. Do everything you can to be as present as you can. Truly. Because the one thing, too, that's been so clear to me this last 12 months is that when you focus on the future, especially if you're worried about the future, you rob yourself of the present and the beauty of the present, and then you can't get that time back. It's almost like living the future twice. And there's no point in living the future twice. You should only live the future once while it's happening. So you need to, it's okay to project out and kind of feel into the future and think about what might happen, but not at the expense of the present. Because at the end of the day, the present is really all that we have. Oops, sorry. There we go. Oof, just kind of blew you out with the light there. Okay, that's what I wanted to show you. So I'm going to burn a little bit of my breakthrough incense. What's interesting is there's 2 herbs in breakthrough that are really expensive. One is called Shisandra and one is called Mucuna. Have you tried it yet? Did you like it? And I want to tell you about both of them. And then I'm going to bring a little bit to you. Yeah, there's some really interesting ingredients in this one. Shisandra activates all of your 5 human senses and stimulates the pineal gland. It's an adaptogen, so it helps you modulate and moderate stress and the effect of stress on your body. So this is a good one. And then Mucuna restores the central nervous system, is really helpful for people with MS, actually, and any neurodegenerative diseases, which includes MS, but would also include Parkinson's disease, for example. Mucuna has actually been used to treat Parkinson's disease in other parts of the world. Isn't that interesting? So that's in there too. It's also an aphrodisiac. So it makes you horny, it fixes your brain. All the things you would want something to do. And then this is your perfume for the month, Purify. Now, what Purify does, Purify has oils in it that, bring you back to me. Purify has oils in it that actually decalcify the pineal gland. So I would like you to take a little bit of Purify on your finger, a little bit at your third eye, again for decalcification, at your wrists, and then just a little bit at your ankles. Now it's not, it's a very medicinal blend because I wanted it to be an actual decalcifying blend. So I didn't design this as a perfume, I designed it as a medicine. So it does definitely have a medicinal smell. This one is myrtle. These are all detoxifiers and decalcifiers of the pineal gland. Blue chamomile, blue tansy. Blue tansy is one of the best decalcifying agents for the third eye. Rose and grapefruit. So nice inhales there, just to kind of allow the scent to move through, to reach your pineal gland, to move through your olfactory system as much as you can. And just relax into all of that, because now you've got a lot of different scents operating in the field. But you know, scent is a very important part of magic, and it really does shift your energy field. The oils, especially the ones that we're talking about tonight, are highly vibrational. So they are having an impact on you, whether you feel it or not. They shift the energy. It's pretty yummy, isn't it? Okay, so the perfume blend that we are making tonight, and I'll bring you back here for a second, is your Journey to Vision. And I'm going to teach you a little bit more before we journey, or before we make the blend, but I wanted to show you the oils that we're working with. So we are working with Gandhi root. And I just want you to go ahead and open it now. Gandhi root stimulates the third eye. It's very helpful for meditation. It also helps to strengthen the immune system. It's one of my favorite oils. If you've never smelled Gandhi root, it's got a very sweet smell to it. It is so expensive that, it's crazy expensive. It's thousands of dollars per kilogram. So you're getting kind of a taste, and this is pure. We didn't dilute it because I just wanted you to have the real thing with no jojoba or anything. But I'll tell you something, 100% of this is going in my perfume tonight. Gandhi root's an interesting one because it helps to transmute negative emotions. It really does. It takes anger and transforms it to love. It transmutes everything to love. It raises the vibration of your emotional state. Isn't it beautiful? So there's something really, really powerful about Gandhi root. Now then we took jasmine. This is night blooming jasmine for you. This is divination, moon magic, inner strength. Jasmine is considered a flower of the night. It's also considered a flower of intuition. And it connects you to your desire and your passion through your intuition. That's the other thing about jasmine that I find really powerful. This particular jasmine was distilled in India, as was the Gandhi root. And then the last one for you is rose geranium. Now, rose geranium is one of the first essential oils I ever worked with because my mom was an aromatherapist and an esthetician, and it was one of her favorites. Rose geranium and ylang-ylang were my mom's favorite essential oils. And this one is about lifting up the spirit, connecting with your heart chakra. Because my intention tonight is to connect you back to your true essence, because we're in that distillation phase. This for me is distillation in a bottle. You know, who are you really? What matters to your heart? What's the core essence of your heart? What do you love? What matters to you? Why does it matter to you? And how do you honor it? Isn't it beautiful? So we'll come back and blend all of our oils together in just a minute, but I wanted to give you an introduction to what they are and why those are the ones that we are working with. Okay. So we're going to do a breathing technique today that is known to calm the central nervous system, activate the pineal gland, Some people say it helps the pineal gland produce DMT, and DMT is a hallucinogen, right? It's the active ingredient in ayahuasca. And so you might actually, through this breathing technique, if you do it often enough, start to feel like you're working with a plant medicine, because it can very much, this particular breath can open up intense pathways to your higher self, and it can actually expand and connect you to your spirit gifts too. So the breathing technique is called the Nadi Shodhana. NADISHODHANA. Nadi Shodhana. And it comes from the Rig Veda. It comes from the original texts, from the same text that produced the yogic tradition. So a lot of yoga practitioners teach Yadi Shodhana. They do it in their practice. Sometimes you'll go to a yoga class and the teacher will be doing this breath and not talk about it too much. I've seen it woven into Kundalini practice. It's a very common breath and it's easy to learn. And again, this is something that you can do anywhere. And I want you to have an experience of it tonight because, if you like it, I want you to start practicing it when you wake up in the morning before you go to bed, because it's so easy to do. And the traditional way you practice Nadi Shodhana is you take your left hand and you put it on your knee, just to kind of keep your left hand steady, give it something to do, a place to go. And you're going to take your right hand, and really what you're doing is you're using the first four fingers, your thumb, your index finger, your middle finger, and your ring finger. Your pinky doesn't really have a job in this, but it's okay. It can relax and take a break. Do you know this? Okay, good. I'm glad. Some of you know it's super fun. You're just going to practice, get a chance to practice. Michelle Rivera is asking about her oils and how full the bottles are supposed to be. Some of them are all the way full and some are not, based on the cost of the oils, because your kit is always $22, but some of these oils are like several $1,000s a kilogram, and I don't dilute them. So I give you as much as I can to keep the kits all the same price. Does that make sense? And that's why you have some bottles that are smaller and not quite full all the way, because if I filled every bottle every month, the prices of the kits would all be different, and some of the kits would be $50 or $75. And so in order to keep the price the same, I have to put some bottles full and some bottles not as full. So hopefully that's helpful. Okay. Brittany's like, what do I do with my pinky? Okay, so here's the technique. Okay, so left hand on your knee. You're going to take your index finger and your middle finger, and you're going to put them over the third eye. And that's the first step. And once you touch the third eye, you're supposed to close your human eyes. Okay, and I want you to watch me because and you need to learn the technique. But in general, when you're doing Nadi Shodhana, you're going to bring the index finger and the middle finger over the third eye, shut your seeing eyes, and then your ring finger is over here and your thumb is over here. Okay? You ready? All right. So what you're going to do, and here's how I do it. I tend to do the breath 5 times on each side, because this is called alternate nostril breathing. Okay, you're going to inhale through the right and exhale through the left. Inhale through the right, exhale through the left. And then we're going to alternate. Inhale through the left, exhale through the right. Inhale through the left, exhale through the right. What this is doing, it is, at least in my experience, actively sort of balancing the hemispheres of the brain and bringing all of your awareness to the center of the hemispheres, which is where the third eye sits, where that pineal gland sits, okay? And you want to bring the breath in, hold, and then release, and I'll guide you through the breath. If you have any questions, let me know, okay? Got your 2 fingers, you ready? Over the third eye. Again, you got your ring finger is going to hold this nostril, and your thumb is going to do this nostril over here. It looks weird. Yeah, there's several ways to do this breath, and so I think I've taught you like 3 different techniques now, but this is the one that I traditionally do, and this is the one that most yoga practitioners do, so I thought I would give you the most traditional one for tonight. But yeah, there's several different techniques. You can just use alternating fingers and make it easier if you want, okay? So we're going to start by closing the left nostril with your ring finger. So this one's open, your right nostril's open. And we're going to inhale. I'll show you how it goes. Inhale through the right nostril. Hold And then we're going to close the right nostril, open the left, and exhale through the left. Does that make sense? So again, move your thumb, inhale through the right nostril, hold for 3, and then close your right nostril, open your left, and exhale. Okay, that's inhaling through the right, exhaling through the left. Now we're going to reverse it. We're going to inhale through the left and exhale through the right. Okay, ready? Now, isn't it fun? Now, if you want to make it even more exciting, is you can do little short breaths. I'll show you what that looks like. Doesn't it feel good? Do you feel how much clearer you're hearing? Notice your hearing. Notice your vision. Notice your attention, okay? I have friends who have attention deficit disorder, like I do, who work with this breath to focus. They'll do Nadi Shodhana before a meeting because it helps them focus, right? Otherwise, they're like, oh, look, there's a chicken, and off they go. It's pretty good, right? Okay, now, back to the third eye, right? Now, you can do 1 and 1. Now, that will get me really buzzy and high. But do you want to play with it for a minute? It's kind of fun. You can hold the breath in between or release the breath, which is good. Or you can just keep going quickly. Okay, ready? And then I switch. You got it? It does. Yeah, so what it does is it calms your heart rate, it lowers your blood pressure, so it's regulating the central nervous system, right? It helps to regulate the breath, it helps to focus the mind, it helps to clear the sinuses, right? I've taught you pranayama, right? I've taught you conscious breath work before, and so it's sort of the same technique, but you're alternating the nostrils, right? You're becoming your own neti pot. Okay, yay that you felt it. And Kaz's littles are looking at her like she's having a breakdown, maybe. And as he says, it's freaking her dogs out. Play with it. Right? But again, if you're sitting somewhere and you're having a total panic attack and you have no crystals, no oils, I mean, that doesn't really happen to me because I kind of travel with stuff. Like, even if I'm in the car, I got shit in the car, I got shit in my bag, I got shit in my trunk, you know what I mean? Like, I'm I'm prepared. I'm like a metaphysical Girl Scout. But let's say you have nothing. You're in the middle of nowhere and you're like having an absolute panic attack. Or you're like, I can't focus, or I'm nervous, or you're going into a scary situation. You've got a big meeting and you're like, I don't know, I can't. I gotta focus. How do I do it, right? It's a good one. It is a good one indeed. Okay. So what I want to ask is make sure that you have paper and pen somewhere that is easy for you to get to, okay? Because we're going to make our perfume, but then we're going to dive right into our journey. And I do want you to make sure you have a pen and it's easy for you to reach so that you can jot down quick thoughts. I'm going to guide you not to look at what you're writing, because it takes you out of your journey. So I'm going to say make it a big enough page or easy enough where you can just write whatever it is without looking down and trying to correct it. There's a hum that's back. I'm not sure because I have my, you might be hearing my actual computer, but there's no music playing. Music is off. It's actually silent in my room other than the hummingbirds outside. So let me know, and if there's sound issues, I can definitely have Dave take a look tonight, but it's pretty like silent in my room. But I want to make sure it's good for you too. Okay. It's computer buzz, huh? Let me pull my mic away and see if that helps. Can you guys give me some feedback? Okay, good. I moved it away from my computer. Maybe that is the secret. 'Tis the secret. Okay, good. It's computer sound. Okay, yeah. That I don't know if I can do anything about because I have a big ass computer right here that I can't really move. But I did move the mic away, so I'm glad that's better. Okay, let me get my last little stopper out of my bottle situation. Okay. So these are the oils that we are working with, as we noted. I want a little bit more of my incense. I'm going to inhale if you don't mind. It's actually a really good technique. There's good medicine in that incense, so. And it's all antibacterial, antimicrobial, antifungal, all the things. So getting a little bit of that up your nose is not a bad idea tonight. Okay. So let's go back to Gandhi root. Like I said, the Gandhi and the jasmine in this month's ingredients both come from India. And so this is designed to calm and center you. And like I said, it's so perfect for a blend that's going to help you connect with your essence, right? The most centered part of who you are, right? So I want you to take 3 deep inhales there. And these are such potent and rare plants tonight too, especially this one, that it's like you really want to come to it with a sense of reverence, like gratitude to the plant for its presence. It's so earthy and grounding, and yet it's so uplifting and floral. It reminds me a little bit of orris root. There's a similarity between the two, different plants, but isn't that beautiful? Okay. So, inner strength, for sure. And also finding that place within you, that still place within you that has your eternal truth, is what Gandhi root is known for. And then the next one that we should talk about is jasmine. Jasmine is a heart opener, but it also is an oil of prophecy. It's supposed to bring prophetic dreams. The legend is if you anoint with jasmine before you go to bed and you have a question on your mind, like what's going to happen here, or what's going to happen with this person, or what's going to happen in this situation, that jasmine is, as a plant teacher, will show you. So that's one of the reasons we put them in there, or put this particular ingredient in there. I want you to, it's also an oil of passion. It's an oil of connecting with what you really want and what you really desire, which when you think about the distillation phase of alchemy, that's what this phase is all about. Who are you really? What do you really want? And then what will you be willing to let go in order to get to that core essence? For me, Colin, it's like, I think aromatherapy is from a shamanic perspective, is the closest we get to plant therapy and plant medicine in Western society. Don't you think? It's like, if you think about it, that's people's baseline access to plant teachers, which is great. I mean, I always hoped that like the Bach essences and flower essences would take off and become more mainstream, but they kind of never did. And maybe it's because it's such a subtle medicine. It works on the etheric body, so it doesn't have this huge like capacity to shift usually on the physical level. It's more of an energetic shift. But because aromatherapy is so sensual in the sense that it activates at least one of your senses, I think it's easier for people to understand and work with. So let's smell those two together. I think the jasmine is just completely symbiotic with the Gandhi root. I really do. And what you'll notice from a perfuming perspective is that the rose geranium, which is a little bit sharper, it's more of a top note. In this blend, it is for sure the top note. The top note's rose geranium, the middle note, the heart note, is your jasmine, and the base note is your Gandhi root. Yeah, and druid work with the trees. I think you're right. I think those are the two like closest kind of touchstones we have now to the concept of plant medicine outside of, Central South America. So that because it's a top note, it's sharper. So my recommendation to you, make the perfume as you like it. But I'm going to recommend to you that we start with the base note, which is the Gandhi root. So again, just gratitude to the plant. It's absolutely one of my favorites in the world. And because I love it so much, I'm going to get every last drop out of that sweet little bottle. I am not wasting a drop. I have the same amount you do, and I don't have any more. It's not like we have a whole big stock behind the scenes. We use all we have, especially of these super expensive ones. So I'm like, I gotta eke every darn drop out of there. And then whatever's left on my skin, it goes. Oh, it's so good. And now we're going to add the jasmine. So now to this idea of centering and balancing and grounding and coming to the core of who we are, we're going to add passion, wisdom, and divination, prophecy. They say jasmine creates a pathway to your heart. That's pretty divine, isn't it? If you're doing it the way I'm doing it. I used about half my jasmine. Because I don't want the jasmine, at least for me, I don't want it to take over the Gandhi root. So I'm not going to use the whole thing. And then what I do is I take the rest of this little bottle and I put it in my apothecary cabinet under J for jasmine. And then, last but not least, that rose geranium. Now I want you to bring the bottle of the Gandhi with the jasmine together with the rose geranium. It really changes it. So I'm going to be very sparing here. I'm going to use literally drops at a time of the rose geranium because I do want the energy of it. But I don't want this to be a rose geranium perfume. And what I love is, I maybe used about 5 drops. This is totally still a Gandhi root perfume, which is what I wanted. And so my bottle, I'll show you, is about, before diluting, is about almost halfway full. Do you see? Okay, so I'm going to blend. I always just turn my bottle 3 times to blend. And then, yeah. Because the rule in perfuming is, if you like a perfume at this stage, you will like it once you dilute it. If you don't like it now, you will not like it once it's diluted. It's not going to change appreciably, God, it's really good. Holy shit, I really like it. Okay, now I'm going to fill my bottle the rest of the way with jojoba. I doubled it basically. It's not quite all the way to the top. I doubled it. And then you guys have a quartz point. I can't find mine, so I'm sure I have one somewhere. I'll add it afterward. And then again, turning 3 times to mix. When you're mixing like that, you can kind of see how the oils are kind of, there's I don't know if it'll let me show you because of the lighting, but there's as you're mixing at this stage, you can actually see the oils blending. Will the camera catch it? Kind of. Do you see how they're blending? It's not, see that little kind of like, I don't know what's the word to describe that? It's like, it's not clear yet. You can see the lines of the oils, the separate oils trying to find their way to each other. It's almost like a little pattern in the oil that tells you that the oils have not fully mixed yet. And so in perfuming, we call this resting or settling. It has to, usually it's 2 to 3 days before a perfume cures or rests or settles down to how it will finally smell on your skin. So, but you'll have a good idea of it from here. Yeah, it's kind of ombre-ed a little bit. Like, yeah, I like it. Oh, I spilled some on my carpet. That's kind of awesome. If I'm going to spill something on my carpet, I want it to be this. So a little at my wrist for what I do, a little bit more over my third eye for what I know, at my ankles for where I go. Yeah, it looks like liquid smoke. That's a good way of putting it, Lisa Taylor. Oh, is it already in the bottle? I shook my bottle earlier and there was no point. No, I don't have a point in this bottle, but that's okay. Oh, I spilled oil. Hold on. A lava lamp. That's actually Alexis, it's so smart because that actually, it does, you know how a lava lamp where like everything is kind of mixing and blending and it's not like, it's like, I don't want to say it's goopy because goopy is like not a good word. It's not a cute word. Do you love the smell? Let your brain just receive that for a minute. Wow, that's really good. That takes me someplace. It really does. It's like my soul just wants to follow that. So that's probably a great place to begin our journey for this evening. Yeah. Goopy is a horrible word, and I'm sorry I used it. It's not what I meant at all. You ready? Let's go. Let's go have some fun. Ooh, yeah, Renna said put it on your charcoal. Let's do that. I'm going to put that on before I... Just a drop. Let's see what that does. Oh my god, I'm so excited for this. Oh, that's divine. Wow. One drop, man. Wow. And then it takes me somewhere completely different in the smoke of it. Wow. Isn't that good? All right, so I'm going to light my candle, which, by the way, this candle, I waited to light mine until tonight because we haven't had our tools together until tonight. This candle should be your new favorite thing, and you need to burn that candle all the way down. That candle is poured with all of your pineal decalcifying oils that are in your perfume blend for the month, that are in the Purify Elixir. So... seriously, that should be your primary altar candle. It's going to be mine after tonight. You're always going to see that on my altar until it's gone. So that is your Clear My Third Eye candle. It's why it's dark blue, to kind of help you like differentiate it from the other candles in your collection. And that should be your, you know, save that candle for ceremony. Save it for when you're channeling or doing readings for people. Set that candle aside for when you're really doing work that requires you to have your third eye open. Oh, I love it. Damichi says, mine's almost gone. Well, that's good. I hope you've been enjoying it. I really, really do. Okay. This drum wanted to come with us tonight. One of my favorite symbols. This is the Hunab Ku. This has been hand painted on this drum for me. I went to the artist and I said, I want a drum, please, with a Hunab Ku, and I just want you to make it for me. I don't care what color it is, like, follow your intuition. And this is what arrived to me in the mail about 4 months later. So it's one of my favorites. I don't play it all the time. I definitely feel like this one, because the Hunab Ku is called the Cosmic Butterfly. It's a doorway to other dimensions. So I really only work with this drum when I'm doing what I would consider to be interdimensional work. Yeah. The drum maker is, I've shared it with you before. Alexis, will you pull up, not right now. Later I'll have Alexis, like tomorrow, pull up the old post in Soulshift where I talk about who makes the drums. Because there's only 2 drum makers that I've ever really worked with, and they're both pretty amazing. Yeah, so we'll share that with you. It's really deep and really low, which I like. So tonight, we're going to open up all the gateways. Right? The horizontal gateways, the vertical gateways. We're going to open them all. Beginning in the east, guides and guardians. Help us open a door tonight to greater self-awareness, greater self-understanding, knowing what within us is constant, not subject to cycles, not subject to death or birth or rebirth, what always is. And Guardians of the East, help us to see clearly, sense clearly, help us to be present to the awareness. To the guides and the guardians of the South, gatekeepers of fire. Help us to greet these times ahead, change and transformation, from a place of inner awareness, inner strength. Help us to find what within us is true, shedding and releasing everything else. Help us to know where to go, where to seek, where to hunt on our path. Help us to stay aligned to our desires, our passions, what it is that we are here to create, experience, grow. Bring us the energy that we need to live into this distillation, this clarified form of ourselves. To the guides and the guardians of the West, calling you in tonight. In your season, asking for wisdom, comfort, nurturing, support, and also helping us release. Helping us release and let go. What's no longer ours, what can't come with us to these next phases and places. Helping us trust the process. Helping us trust ourselves. And to the guides and the guardians of the North, the resting place. reach you this evening and call upon you for protection and patience, peace, presence. Help us to be here now, in this moment, while we open our awareness to all other times and moments. And then help us learn how to embody that wisdom, bring it forward in a good way. And then the guides and the guardians, the spirit element, the one that negotiates the X and the Y axis, the go between the not here, not there, but everywhere. The element of animation, transformation, synchronicity, serendipity. We call upon you to help us move between the worlds, as within, so without. Help us to believe, help to open the channel, help us to access these other realms and dimensions of awareness. And greetings now to the guides and the guardians of the upper world. Dimensions above the ninth. Akashic gateways, stellar gateways, universal gateways opening, connecting us to the higher channels, the higher realms, the higher frequencies, helping us let go of the here so that we can travel to the there. Let our body be in between, granting us wisdom, access to the spirit realms. And greetings next to the guides and guardians of the middle world. The Kai Pacha, they hear now, this moment, each other, our planet, land and sea, third dimension. Includes the plant kingdom, animal kingdom, all sentient beings of life and breath. Help us to be in deep communion and connection to each other, to be in service, of service, to this planet, to this collective, and this timeline. And last but not least, we greet the guides and the guardians of the lower world. The world beneath our feet, center Earth. The planet's channels of energy coursing beneath you, the mineral world. The kingdom of the bones. What has been alive that is no longer. Help us to stay anchored in our traditions and our past, the past of the planet. Help us to stay reverent, vigilant, protective of our resources. Amen. Aho. And so it does. Amen. Aho. So it is. So it has always been. So it shall always be. So good. Okay. If you have your channeling stones from Crystal Masters, you are more than welcome to work with one of those for tonight's journey. If you don't, or they're not close by you, that's okay. You don't need them. You can absolutely do tonight's meditation without, oh, thanks you guys. You can actually absolutely do tonight's meditation without any tools. So, and you may want to play with that. Like, what's it like to go in and do third eye work with no tools? I'm glad you enjoyed my calling. It felt really important tonight to bring them all in. Normally I just do the 5 or the 4. But all 8 needed to be here tonight. And cheers, 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 cheers. Okay, so tonight's journey, I am going to drum us in. And again, I want to refresh from last week's class where I was teaching you about, where the third eye sits, right? It's between the actual, between your brows and the back of your head. It's right in the middle. And then it's between your soft spot and the roof of your mouth. So it literally is in the middle of your brain, but it's housed between these sort of key points. So when you're visualizing, I just want to make sure that you're visualizing where it is, because in my experience, the more clearly you can see that little cone inside your brain and visualize it, the easier it is to connect to it. And because tonight is really about activating, right? We want to bring our full awareness to the exact place. And so I want to make sure that you don't have any questions about where it is or how you're connecting to it. Yeah, your Dianite would be perfect for tonight if you have your Dianite. There's so many alternatives. And then if you don't have any of those things, but you have azurite, or you have lapis, or you have tanzanite, or you have like maybe you have a tanzanite ring and you can just hold it over your third eye. These are all really great alternatives for tonight's work. And not even alternatives. I mean, what you can do is have them all in front of you if you have more than one of those, and just kind of alternate between them. And don't break your meditation, but you can pick one up and try it, and pick another one up and just kind of experiment too. Lori's going to hold an actual pine cone, which I think is a really great idea. If I had thought of that, I would have done that. So yeah, you can't go wrong. All of those are going to be really good options for you. I am going to work with my Iolite. That's the one that keeps jumping out to me from Crystal Masters. So you're going to see me working with mine when I'm not drumming. And so we'll be calling it in. So journal out, turn it to a page where you don't mind being messy, okay? Because you just want to be able to take notes without even opening your eyes. So have it near your writing hand so that you can jot down what you're seeing and what you're hearing. And I just want to say just a little invocation over tonight's journey. So, Great Spirit, Spirit Guides, our intention tonight as we come before you is to connect with our higher selves and to receive from the higher self words, images, symbols, expressions of energy that will help us come to know our higher self more intimately, and also will help us to know which parts of ourselves are the most important to anchor into and align to and maintain and protect so that they endure with us. So tonight our intention is to connect with you in service of really coming to understand who we are at our core. What is the most distilled, purified, condensed form of us that's been true not only of this lifetime but of all lifetimes across all timelines and dimensions. And we give thanks in advance for that wisdom that they will bring. Amen. Aho. So it is. Okay, so make sure you're nice and comfortable, that you have everything you need around you, so you're not having to look around. I'm just moving stuff around, so I've got everything I need to. Just a little more space. There we go. Okay. Are you ready? Yay! So go ahead and close your eyes, and it's perfectly fine to stay in the feed and keep commenting. You can also choose to just relax from the feed until we come back together, just so that you're not distracted, whatever serves you best in your journey process. I will be looking only at the camera or closing my eyes until we're done with our journey for tonight. And I wish you a beautiful experience. I'm excited to go in and do this work with you this evening. It's time. Okay. So let's take a nice deep breath. Roll your shoulders back. And now I want you to bring your conscious attention to your third eye. And that means closing your human eyes, if it feels good to you. And I want you to bring all of your attention to the place behind what we typically call the third eye, so the place between your brows. I want you to bring your attention behind that point, almost like you're energetically piercing through your skin and moving into the center of your brain. Almost like a laser point going back. And I want you to follow that laser point and let it track you right to that pineal gland. You can also enter the pineal gland from the back of your head if that feels easier. You can enter the pineal gland from your crown chakra. And from your crown chakra, it's just a direct drop down about 3.5 inches to the point where you're fully connected with the third eye. You can also approach the third eye from your throat chakra. It's a direct pathway up from the throat chakra. So whatever pathway feels really good to you, but I want you to consciously bring all of your attention now to that little tiny, less than an inch, little pine cone shaped organ that holds so much magic and power inside of you. Take a deep breath as you find it and just completely like a laser anchor your vision right there. Okay. And now we're actually going to call upon, for tonight's meditation, we're actually going to call upon the guides and the guardians of the 4 primary gateways tonight. Because for this activation, what I've been called to do is to activate the third eye through the 4 elements. So we're going to begin, as we always do, with the element of air, keeping your vision totally laser focused on that third eye. I want you to imagine that coming from the east towards your third eye is a burst of wind. And I want you to feel the wind coming toward the third eye and moving across it. You might even feel sort of in the room where you are. Sometimes when we're working with the element of air, you can feel that the temperature shifts in the room where you are. And I want you to imagine that those winds moving across your third eye. And as those winds move across and we activate through the element of air, I want you to imagine that any energies that need to be removed from the third eye in order to clarify it, decalcify it, detoxify it, imagine that the energies of the element of air are cleansing your third eye, just sort of like sweeping off dust, sweeping off old visions, sweeping off old anxieties about your gifts, and letting the wind just take all of those energies with it as it moves across and past your pineal gland. And a deep breath there. And now coming from the south, I want you to imagine a flame rising and moving across your pineal gland. And with this flame, we sense a deep, deep, deep connection to that fire element, to transformation, to purification, to transmutation. And so with the element of fire, I want you to imagine that your third eye becomes stimulated to produce visions of desire, of creativity. But I also want you to imagine that in this flame, everything that is impure in your pineal gland is being completely cleansed, released into the smoke of that fire, of that flame. It's becoming strengthened in that flame. And here we are intensifying the spiritual gifts. We are committing to the spiritual gifts through this element of fire. We're committing to channeling them, to activating them, to acting upon them, to taking action based on them tonight. And a deep breath there. And now coming from the west, I want you to imagine a big, beautiful wave crashing over that pineal gland. And through this wave, I want you to imagine that that pineal gland is cleansed and purified through water. That any of your deepest emotions, your deepest energies, your deepest desires are being acknowledged and cleansed. That anything that's too heavy in this particular area, too heavy in your intuition, can be released through this wave of water across your pineal gland. And as those waves recede, they pull back with them anything from the pineal gland that needs to be surrendered in this moment. That could include old traumas, old experiences, old fears about what your gifts might mean or how to work with them, or hesitations. Again, just letting those waves crash and run over that pineal gland and cleansing, clarifying, purifying, releasing. And then in the north, I want you to sense an anchoring in to your pineal gland. I want you to sense an actual cord between your pineal gland and your crown chakra, and a cord that runs from your pineal gland all the way through the rest of your physical chakras, through your root chakra, and down into the center of the planet. Anchoring your pineal gland into the matrix of the planet, into the kingdom of the minerals and the bones, so it's gathering all the wisdom, stored wisdom in the planet, giving it a pathway to channel wisdom from these lower realms. And then imagining that thread running north above you through your crown chakra, soul star chakra, through all the upper gateways, and then letting that cord run all the way to the Akashic records, giving your pineal gland clear access to the record of all time, the records of all wisdom, and feeling that flow of energy. Hopefully you can feel it. It's like a conduit now, that you're running energy all the way from the Akash down through your own energy system, and then pulling up energy from the planet itself. And so, now that we've cleansed and purified through multiple elements, with the wind, with the fire, with the water, and then anchored both above and below us to open that greater channel, we are ready. Distracted, just come right back. Find that laser point in the middle of your brain. Your higher self will bring you right back. And then from there, I want you to see that vertical highway running. It's like a data. It's like a data storage, right? It's running these messages from above and below. So let's follow the cord up first. So we're going to travel now from the Akashic, or from the pineal, to the crown, to the soul star, using that same spiral energy we worked with in Crystal Masters. Ascending, ascending, ascending. You're still connected, but you're rising above. far you can go. Let yourself keep winding and ascending, winding and ascending, winding and ascending. And as you reach those upper gateways, I want you to notice how the energy begins to expand, going from finite to infinite, from human to collective, right? Connecting to universal consciousness now, all forms of creation. And so here we have access to, as I said, the Akash, the records of all time and wisdom, which is a complex series of gateways. But for our purposes tonight, I want you to imagine that pineal gland through this line of energy that you've been writing. I want you to allow it to plug in to that book of wisdom, those Akashic records, almost like plugging in a thumb drive. So spirit guides of this dimension, spirit guides of those higher dimensions, we ask you to come together now and help us interpret what do we need to know about our core essence and who we are, what has been consistent across all lifetimes, all expressions of our soul's unique essence. What do we need to know from past lives, from present life, from future lifetimes? Give us words, symbols, images, unplug the pineal gland slowly, giving thanks for the wisdom, the visions, the knowing, the hearing, the sensing. And feel yourself, your energy winding, recoiling, returning. Slowly moving back down through those upper dimensional gateways. Back down, down, down. Starting to become more aware of your body as we come into the 8th gateway, the 7th. Choose your crown. Then coming back to that 6th gateway and really sitting back with your pineal gland now. Back in the body. Now we're going to follow that line of energy the other way. Past that third eye, feel the thread from your pineal gland and extend it down the throat to the heart, solar plexus, sacral, root chakra, earth star. And then past the earth star to what we call the central earth channels. After the earth star, they branch off like roots of a tree and begin to help us to descend and wind down to the center of the planet. Again, feeling that cord, knowing you're still connected to that pineal gland, which you've extended down now. So spirit guides, as we anchor down in and take up our residence among the bones, the minerals, the center, the core of this planet. It's been our home. Just follow the thread. It's going to lead you back to your feet. It's your place of connection with the earth. Through to your root, to your sacral, to your solar plexus. Feel your power return to you from all of these distant places. To your heart. Feel love return to you from distant places. To your throat. Feel your truth return to you from distant places. And then back we are. Bringing your vision back to that laser point in the third eye, pineal gland. And feel yourself integrate now, above and below, collapsing gateways, dimensions, energies, and frequencies. And spirit guides, we ask that you help, or you help us, to integrate what we've seen, what we've sensed, what we've felt, and smelled, and tasted across these timelines. Just give yourself a moment to track back to this moment. I'm just going to write down a couple of key words. How you doing? I went kind of far away, so I'm coming back too. Ooh, interesting. Hillary said, guides were happy that I cleansed the pineal because they said they missed me. And wouldn't this be interesting? You know, I feel like I know you all, you know, well in so many ways. Like, we've been through a lot together, and I read for you, and I read what you post in the group, and you know what I mean? Like, I just have a lot of channels into kind of where you're at. And for some of you, I'm really hoping tonight moves the needle, because a lot of you you've been sitting with questions for a long time, right? And then sometimes you'll rephrase the question, you know, or reframe the question, and it's like, maybe this is what was needed for you to access that level or layer of wisdom that's been kind of eluding you. You know what I mean? It could be kind of a reset tonight. Just the actual process of going through and cleansing and clearing and purifying. Look at that. I don't know if you had this experience. When I said you have always, you know, desired, seen, you know, sought, or whatever, my spirit guides were instantly completing those sentences. Did you have that experience too? Like, as soon as I said it, there was an answer. And then as soon as I said it, there was an answer. And as soon as I said it, there was an answer. Did you have that? Well, that's what I got, Karen Brown. I was able to see a lot of different things, especially when we were on the planet. But there was a really cool, like, as soon as I would say, you have always this, the answer came. And it wasn't what I expected. Did it happen for you too? It was like they were playing complete the sentence with me. So note what those are. If that happened to you, write that down, because, and I wrote mine down. I can tell you what mine were. When I said you have always seen, what came was people. And so what they said is, I've always been different, desired love, embodied strength, and sought truth, and seen people. Those were my you have always. And that helps me, right? Like, okay, so, and that's going to be across your lifetimes, right? Including, keep in mind, future lifetimes. You know, if that's in your destiny, you know, to have future lifetimes, I think that that's also sort of pointing to where you might still have work to do, or at least gives you a hint about where to kind of focus your spiritual work, right? Interesting. Yeah, desired truth, been love. I like that. Safe, love, right? Always been a healer, says Nancy, of course, right? I'm not surprised. Yeah, it's interesting, Cindy. I wasn't seeing people. I was seeing more places. I was told when I plugged into the Akashic Records that I was going to receive, but not consciously, some downloads that needed to kind of be deployed for me, needed to be, you know, sent for me. So I was like, okay, I'm going to plug in and they'll just give me what I need. Interesting, right? And that can happen sometimes. Sometimes you don't need to know what the wisdom is that's being given to you. But they were like, we're going to bypass your conscious waking mind and we're just going to deposit. And I'm like, so it is. Look at that. Look at the comments. It's really beautiful. Like, I'm just scanning it, and I'm scanning it and just looking at the words. Warrior, happy, fun, leader, honesty, peace, like snake, shedding skin, amazing, light, clarity, right? Isn't this interesting? And so these are words, again, that I want you to write down. And this could be, remember at the beginning of tonight I said, one exercise that might be really helpful for you is if you can determine where you want to place your focus, because your life will begin to organize itself around that. So if it's clarity for you and you put clarity on your mirror or whatever, and you say, I'm going to be in service to clarity, everything around you has to begin to serve clarity because you are. And if you're not consciously deciding what you want to be in service to, then the universe kind of substitutes on your behalf and says, okay, well, you know, looks at your life and says that's what you're serving, because whatever you're doing is where you are, right? The still point, it's a beautiful way of putting it, Sue Landsman, and it's quite true, right? Your set point, as Abraham Hicks says, you know, we talked about that in readings today, right? I love that. You are as large as the planet. Well, keep in mind, once we leave here, we are. I mean, there's no separation between the soul, the cosmos, right? We reunify with all forms of creation, as far as I know. Flying over water, isn't that cool? Oh, it's beautiful. Kali says, you are that which you create. It's true. And that which you create is a result of who you are. There's a yin-yang relationship there too, right? Oh, I love that. Rochelle says, I've always been called mama. I had a bunch of lifetimes with no kids, and I died at least once as a child. So that's an interesting one. Yeah. In fact, I think this might be one of the only lifetimes where I've ever had children. Yeah. I've always said I was never really a child. It might not surprise you. Everybody in my family says when I was young, I wasn't really young. I was kind of like I am now, but just smaller. I wanted to be with adults. I wanted to read books. I didn't have a lot of friends. Like I was just kind of like, I don't know, I was like a very small adult. And so I don't think I was ever really a child. I still don't really understand children. I like children. I look at them sometimes like they're zoo animals. Like, oh, look at them. That's so interesting, those small people and what they do. I never wanted to babysit. I love having my children, but I'm not like a... I think I'm more maternal to like the collective than, you know, it was never like I've got to have kids. So I think this might have been my first time I ever had kids. I'm glad I did it. I think I wanted to check that box, and I'm very grateful for it. Oh, interesting. Christiana said, I stood between two pillars of a temple facing the ocean. I can totally visualize what that looks like. Is that you too, Katrina? Mm-hmm. You've always flown with dragons. Joanne says, I was told that I had a lifetime like old Mother Hubbard, with kids everywhere hanging off me, and that's why I chose to not have kids in this lifetime. Probably. And, you know, most of my friends who do not have children have said things like that to me. You know, like, I mean, I've never asked them why they don't have children, because I don't think everybody needs to have children. We have a lot of people on the planet, so I'm not like a huge proponent of it. And most of my friends without kids are very happy not having kids. You know, they can come hang out with my kids or whatever. But most of them have said that to me. You know what, Athena? Been there, done that. I just can't this time, right? So, Interesting. Yeah, Vanya says this is her second life with kids, and she's still sometimes surprised when she realizes she has kids. Surprise, right? Lee said, most of my visions were with forest folks, right? The dryads, the nymphs. It must have been beautiful what you saw. And Brittany said, I met my dragon spirit in the lower worlds, and I can't remember the rest. Well, you probably wanted to stay there with that vision, don't you think? That sounds like a pretty amazing thing. No, it's really true. Not everybody's supposed to have children. I really don't think that. And for some people I know who don't have children, they wouldn't be able to do the amazing work that they do in this world if they had children. It just wouldn't have happened. So for some of my friends, I'm like, I'm so grateful you didn't have kids because of the amazing stuff that you do that just wouldn't have been possible if you'd had kids. So I have huge respect for people, kind of no matter what decision that they make, because it usually ends up being right for them on a lot of different levels. And I'm super happy to send my kids to your house, and you'll send them back within an hour. Melissa's like, I have kids, I like cats. Cheers to that. Okay, so I want to have you take your one or both of your, either the blend that we made tonight. I want you to take just a little bit more of that, and I'm going to put it in the palm of my hand. And I'm going to combine that with the Purify from this month's kit. And I'm going to mix that together. And I'm going to ask you to take 7 additional inhales of these oils, okay? That's 1. That's 2. Whatever you're working with is fine. That's 3. This is 4. This is 5. This is 6. And this is 7. Now, when we do 7 consecutive inhales of a plant or a flower, it creates a scent association in your olfactory system. So your brain goes cha-ching, like there's a little record that gets made. That this feeling that you're having right now is connected to that smell. And so one of the ways we can track back to energetic experiences through scent is just by simply reapplying those same perfumes or those same oils. And every time you smell them, your brain is going to go, oh yeah, decalcify the pineal gland, open the channel. So this combination, or just one or the other, or whatever you're working with tonight, as you dedicate it to this practice tonight, can become a very powerful tool when you want to drop in to an open channel more quickly. I'm going to rub it all over my wand, because that seems right. Yeah. Pretty good stuff, right? Yeah, you can now, huh? That made you sneeze? Your olfactory system is like, we're done. She didn't need that. It was overkill. So let's release those guides and guardians. We have a lot of gateways to release tonight. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm so enjoying this, and I want to tell you, I would love to see you continue to process and reflect in our Facebook group. And that way, Alexis and I, we like to go in after class and see what happened and respond to you and share our thoughts and reflections too. So if you go through the night and you're like, oh, stuff is still coming, or I'd really like to know what they think of this or whatever, like just feel free to go into the Facebook group and continue your processing there. And then she and I can dive in and support you as well. And that can continue all the way through the rest of the week and the weekend. Sometimes in a really good journey, in my experience, it can be a full week of, you might go to bed and there's nothing tonight, and then all of a sudden tomorrow there's like some downloads that happen, or Saturday you have a really, lucid dream or something, and additional information is coming through. Yeah. Aw, thank you for that, Dasha. Yeah, you're going to have some good dreams tonight. So do your breathing tonight, right? Do your breathing before you go to bed, anoint with the oils, and away you go. And watch what kind of dreams you have. I think you'll be really pleasantly surprised. That could be a new nighttime routine for you too, right? Light the candle, put that candle by your bedside table, light it while you do your breathing and you anoint, and then blow your candle out and go to bed. And then call me in the morning. All right, let's release those guides. So releasing, we always begin where we ended. So releasing with gratitude tonight, the guides and the guardians of the lower world and lower realms. We thank you for anchoring us to the planet and helping us connect to past lifetimes. So grateful for that tethering while we journeyed tonight. Thanking and releasing the guides and the guardians of the middle world. They kept us connected to each other, right? Helped us to be embodied and present in this moment while we journeyed. Thanking and releasing the guides and the guardians of the upper world, upper realms, Akashic guides and gatekeepers. Thanking them for helping us access greater wisdom, helping us plug into that universal library. And then thanking and releasing the guides and guardians of the spirit element for blowing through and breathing through our ceremony, bringing magic, the illumination. Thanking and releasing the guides and the guardians of the north for their patience and protection, their grounding. Thanking and releasing the guides and the guardians of the west for their cleansing, their purification, and their nurturing of us during our experience tonight. Thanking and releasing the guides and the guardians of the south, helping us move through these dimensions easily and swiftly, helping us to be able to discover what our deeper purpose and passion is in this lifetime. And then thanking and releasing the guides and the guardians of the east, helping us to see this as a new beginning, a new way of engaging in and immersing ourselves into our psychic gifts and our abilities. And especially now that we've cleansed and cleared everything through, we can really start a new cycle, a new intuitive cycle. So we give thanks and release them as well. And with that, session 3 of November is complete. We still have work to do. Wasn't that fun? I really, really, really enjoyed it, and I hope that you did too. And I want to hear all about your dreams tonight. That, sometimes I say that because certain journeys are more likely to stimulate really intense dream experiences. and astral experiences, and certain journeys, are not. It just depends on the nature of the work that we do. But tonight's should really pay off in dream time. And I want to hear all about it. So yeah, I'm super glad that you were here. You're very, very welcome. It's my pleasure. Okay, so I wanted to not forget to tell you a couple of things. So Friday is full moon. It is a partial eclipse. It is a full moon in Taurus. It's a money moon. It's about transformation of work and finances, mostly energetically. So I hope you can join me. I'll be live starting at 6 o'clock on YouTube. Would love to have you there. That's not part of Soul Shift, but it's in case you're new. But it's kind of, I gift a full moon and new moon ceremony to our whole community every month. And so that'll be happening at 6 p.m. And I think it's going to be a really powerful full moon. The other thing I wanted to tell you is, because some of you are not on Facebook, it is we started our Black Friday extravaganzas early this year because a lot of people said they wanted to shop early. And so there's a lot of really beautiful things that, I don't even know how to tell you. We're launching like 10 new items a day right now, and everything is 23% off with that code, which is a big deal. If you've been with Sage Goddess for a while, we don't really do 23%. So if there have been things that you really have wanted, that is your code, Friday23 at sagegoddess.com. And we're putting elves. Did you see the little elves in the orders? If you find one of these, you get an extra gift. And then there's a little wheel to spin. Did you see with the graphic design team, they put me up here on the sleigh, and then they put Smudgy as Rudolph. And then there's a little Bodhi down here. And there's Felix too. Where is Felix? Is Felix one of the cats in the... Anyway, this is supposed to be Sage Goddess Santa Town. I don't know. But the grand prize is a $1,000 gift card and a 1-hour reading with me. And so anytime you shop, you're entered to win that grand prize, which is kind of fun too. Aren't they cute? Claire got these on Oriental Trading. I was looking at it live yesterday. I'm like, because I can't see very well, I was like, oh yeah, Oriental Trading. How's Bodhi? Bodhi's okay. Bodhi got fixed. He got neutered. So, but he cruised right through it like a pro, man. He's such a good boy. We got so lucky. He's an angel dog. He really is. He's a good spirit. That was the right move. What does it mean when your smoke goes southeast? So south, obviously, is fire, transformation, and east is new beginnings. So I would say that's kind of, when it goes southeast, it's kind of like, for me, that's oftentimes representing a new cycle beginning. Some kind of change or a new doorway opening would be another way of interpreting that. I don't know. Oh, we didn't name the elf. Frankie is what Christina says. I'm into Frankie. Are you a Frankie? It kind of looks like a Frankie. I'm Frankie. Sounds like Oscar. I only have one voice. Everything I do sounds like Oscar. Anyway, thank you. Thank you for sending love to Bodhi and his balls. I know, it's kind of sucky that he had to go through that, but anyway. All right, you guys, have a beautiful rest of your evening. Thank you so much for being here. I will see you Friday at the full moon at 6 p.m. on YouTube. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you, Christina G, for naming our elf. And as always, thank you, Alexis. You're the bestest. You really are. And I'm always grateful for you. All right, you guys, have a great rest of your evening. I'm going to go cook dinner for some kids.